Number one for African arts, culture, and Afro edutainment. 98.7 New Style FM.
I'm Judy Love, and you're listening to the Different Angle Show with Charmaine.
Welcome back, listeners. We are talking women in politics with Lalam Irene, all the way from Uganda, and she is the woman MP candidate for the Gulu district. And we also have friend to the show, Rachel Okello, and she is a former deputy leader for Sutton Coldfield. I want to say welcome to you both, and it's fabulous to have you on our Different Angle show this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Let's start with you, Rachel, because you're a friend to the show and to the station. What have you been up to?
Hi, lovely to be here. Yes, there's been lots going on. Obviously, with the coronavirus pandemic, we're finding new ways to engage with the public politically. And so there's been online webinars, seminars, party meetings, online, of course. So as you know, I'm a Conservative Party member. I'm the former deputy leader of Sutton Coldfield Town Council, and I'm on the Conservative Party A-list for the City Council elections. So you will be seeing me standing for position in the 2022 local elections. And I'm also looking to be an MP within the Conservative Party. So I'm currently following the route. I've made my application, but obviously we had a very good victory in December last year. And so there'll be a lot more of us coming through to claim any additional seats in the next general election. So that's what I've been doing, and obviously I'm still doing my solicitor work as an immigration solicitor.
Just a side note, Rachel is the founder of the online group Women in Politics, which is Black Women in Politics. And it's a cross-party collective where we share information, and we've got representatives from the different parties there as well. So if you want to find that group, it's Black Women in Politics on Facebook, but you'll have to wait for Rachel to accept you.
I will definitely accept anyone who's a friend to Black Women in Politics, definitely.
And let's move over to our second guest with us right now, Lalam Irene. It's so great to have you with us all the way from Uganda. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into politics?
Thank you very much. I'm really so glad to be here to expand the conversations with you all. Thank you so much for welcoming me. I joined politics in 2017 when I was still a radio presenter. I was a news anchor. So being a news anchor, I was really having more time to interact with people, and I was every time I go to the field, I see a lot of things that really communicated something different to me, that I really have to do something. So I decided to come to politics, this active politics this year, 2021, so that I compete as the woman member of parliament in Gulu district. I'm a life coach, a musician, and also a businesswoman.
So, Rachel, we were talking about the title Women MP. That's something we don't have in the UK. We've had a massive push to have women become political in whatever level it may be. And in Uganda, they still have women in the title. What are your thoughts?
Well, initially, I thought it was a bit strange because they have MP and then woman MP for the same area. But what I got to understand was it's like here, really. There's a big drive to get women into politics because we're always, very reluctant to do so. And so in Uganda, the government made a position which is dedicated to women issues and can only be fulfilled by a woman, and that's a woman MP. So I think it's a way to engage women into politics. So it turns out it's actually a good thing. I don't think we could have it over here. I don't think it would work well over here. But I think in Uganda, they're very used to it, and it seems a whole separate institution in itself. be a woman MP.
Lalam, what would you say is the difference between the Ugandan politics and the UK politics, in your opinion?
It's a bit different because in Uganda, like you said, we have a title given to us as the woman parliament, the woman MP. This title was given after the 1986 when this current government came into power. Then the women felt left out, so they had to do something. Women came out in rising that we are being left out in politics. We need to be represented in parliament. So the affirmative action gave a name that women member of parliament. It was specifically to encourage women to join politics. But when you see there's also MP in Uganda, people always like to call it open seat. Others call it direct seat. And it is kind of giving some gender inequality because most people think a member of parliament is supposed to be a man, and it's only a woman member of parliament that women are supposed to go into. So it's kind of scaring other women to join politics when they see another seat for the woman member of parliament is already there. Other women fear to go in for the open seat. What I mean is the empty seat. So they basically think it is for only men. Like if you see in Uganda, we have around 448 members of parliament currently, of which in the next 11th parliament we are going to have more. We have only, among the members, we have only 112 women members of parliament. So there is a lot of big gap. What I mean is gender inequality. Women are still fighting for seats in politics because even the culture sometimes denies women to participate in active politics. Like if you see in other places, they say a woman is not supposed to be a leader. So that has been really preventing women in joining politics.
Rachel, what would you say have been some of the barriers to women joining politics? Because I think in the UK there's been quite a successful campaign and it's growing, the representation in parliament and in local councils.
It's probably the opposite of what I see in Uganda, in Africa, because for us, particularly if you've got children, that's a big barrier. So a woman is definitely going to say, well, I've got children, how am I going to juggle politics with my family life? It's very difficult to do. In Uganda, for example, they don't really have that issue with children and who's going to look after the children because they live in such a community. You know, you might have a relative who comes into the house to stay with the children, or you've always got neighbours. Children always seem to be doing something and busier than our children over here. So whereas there's a barrier here to have a family, I think in Uganda there may be other barriers for them there. So that's one barrier. And also I think women here are less confident to push themselves forward. And always they think that they have to be the best. It's like a typical joke really where they say men are always confident. So a man could be only half as good as a woman, but he's more likely to push himself forward. Whereas the woman who's actually excellent at what they need the politician to do, she's less likely to push herself forward, feeling less confident. And then you've heard Lalam there say that women in Africa were quite forceful in getting a women MP position. Although it seems to be, has a downside, the women there seem quite confident in pushing their agenda forward. So it's difficult for women to get into politics in the UK and on the African continent, but it seems like it's for different reasons.
One of the things, listeners, I was looking at what to title this. So I was thinking, black women in politics or etc. And Rachel said to me, Charmaine, but Lalam is from Uganda. The black doesn't need to be there. It just is. So we'll just, go with women in politics. And I think that in itself is a difference being in the UK to being in Uganda. We would put black women in politics in the front, but it's just women in politics. Do you want to comment on that? Yes, Lalam, come on in.
Okay. In Uganda, it's a bit difficult. Like I told you, the negative cultural attitudes and beliefs that perceived women as their possession is like the titles, wives only, wives, mothers, and caretakers. So, Uganda being a patriarchal society, men are dominant. So, women who strive to take part in leadership are ridiculed, wanting to be men, all money-minded, ambitious, immoral, and as a result, women have become shy right away in joining politics. Some of them lack confidence because of that alone. So that really brings me into this thing I want to tell you. It's so much active in Uganda, the male privilege. Sometimes even men tend to undertake their privilege. They feel they're men. They're not supposed to participate in anything at home. It's supposed to be a woman's work. So I've seen examples of women who have joined politics. They find it difficult at home. So because in Africa, even if you're a politician or a female politician, they will tell you you still have your place in the kitchen and you still have to do your homework before going to the office to organize the kids to go to school. By the time you go to the office, you're tired. So that brings me to women's workload at home, which is the aspect that affects women's political empowerment in the triple workload which women carry, and in particular, unpaid care services. It's really deterring women in joining politics. Again, also low level of education. In this year, most women in politics are finding it difficult to carry on their campaign because we have been in lockdown. There's so many intimidations from the men's side, especially to the women who have opted to contest with men. They're finding difficulties, a lot of intimidation. Sometimes they tell you you're just a woman. So there's nothing else. You have to be a woman. So some women find it difficult to take that,
You just mentioned their intimidation. What are some of, in this campaign that you're on now, what are some of the, should I say, most undesirable moments that you've had so far? So on your campaign, have you come across anything that's been really, really negative, which has been triggered by the fact that you're a woman?
Yes, of course. Being a female artist and joining politics at the same time, they attribute a lot of things to your name. And some of the male counterparts, when they're campaigning for other candidates, like for your opponent, one person happens to say that, you know what, they can't really take a female artist to the parliament because she's not going to stay there. Because, they don't trust musicians. Everybody will be like, you know what, this one might end up being a prostitute in parliament because she's a musician. So which is really so annoying. They tend to judge you by what you do, which is not really true.
Rachel, I want to bring you in and talk about the fact of the different wording. Over here, we probably would have said, black women in politics, but in Uganda and other black countries, it would just be women in politics.
Yes, exactly. Because going into politics, and particularly into the Conservative Party, where the majority of people are white, obviously white men, really, and certainly the majority, although it's changing, it's a factor. And a lot of the Conservative areas are white areas. So I am constantly thinking of, if I go to a particular place as a black person, how will I be received? And actually, this is perception, because I'm being received, there's no problems there. But we are always thinking of colour, of being black in a white society, and particularly when Lalam was talking, she talked about male privilege Well, definitely here we talk about white privilege. So there's barriers there, but the differences that they have. And I mentioned a woman in Africa being able to leave their children with a housemaid, house girl they call them, there, and then go off and do politics, which is my experience of being in Africa. But then Lalam highlighted that for some women that's not the reality because they're going to have to look after the children. So I also see that there's rich and poor problems there as well in Africa. But for rich people in Africa, it's different, obviously, to go into politics than for poor people in Africa. So there's so many different obstacles and barriers that I've been picking up as well. And particularly, we would definitely call this show Black Women in Politics. If we were just two black women in the UK talking about politics, we would definitely do that. And so it's been really interesting to not be able to say black women in politics because for Lalam, she hasn't mentioned the fact of being black in her political journey. Whereas for me, obviously, and for black people in the UK, that is definitely a massive factor for us. The fact of being black on a political path is a big issue.
Lalam, you are also an artist as well. So how do you balance your music career and politics?
Oh, yes. Balancing that is very easy for me because in music alone, there's politics. And I was already in politics before I joined active politics. So I was teaching people, and even in active politics that I joined, the workload is a bit too much heavy. So I always have a time schedule for myself. There's time for studio and there's time for pain. And that's why I have designed myself that this year alone, when you move in the field, there are times when I interact with people, that's when I get to know how I can bring up other songs because music lives with people. Music is among people. When you don't move, you don't get new ideas. So it's really very interesting for me to moving in the company trails. That's how I happen to see some of the lifestyle, how to see how I can really train the people I can't reach. In case, like in my constituency, there's a lot of really people suffering. Women themselves, like I told you, they have this mind that women cannot do anything. So I am really trying to teach them through my music, and even when I go to my campaign, I try to tell them that, you know what, just being there as a woman makes a big difference. You just have to say something. Women, you need to speak up. So don't mind about your biological roles and responsibilities. That makes some men feel that women may not serve when they're pregnant or caring for young children. They will be telling you that, you know what, you have to stay home. So I'm trying to engage women also to come into active politics and stand up and say no. As women, when we come there, when we stand up for ourselves, we will make it. And as a woman, for every place to develop, every country to develop, it needs women to participate into active politics because women, when you give them something, they tend to be very loyal to that. That is something which is in Uganda. When we give an example to what Gaddafi, the former president of Libya, all the security guards were almost female. So you'd wonder why he chose females over males to be his security guard. So encouraging the women to join politics is also part of my music, and I'm also balancing it with my career. So those are the examples I give them, and they're welcoming it really. Though we have a big problem, inadequate resources, because, in Africa there's a lot of workload on women, and those workloads do not pay a woman. So women do not have ownership of productive resources such as land and property, and in a bid to meet household responsibilities, most times you find that women are engaged in food supply, with agriculture, labor, and informal employment, both of which are characterized by high workload and sometimes unpaid labor, like I told you earlier. So this leaves them with no funds or time for politics or even the development of leadership skills. So most women in the leaderships in Uganda lack negotiation and lobbying skills. So this is really undermining their capacity to compete favorably with their male counterparts as well as their confidence.
Well,
That is it.
I know that there was a piece on Channel 4 News a couple of nights ago around the campaigns that are going on in Uganda in your district, and I've seen some of the violence, and we haven't got the actual government to have a response or anything, so we're not going to go in depth into that, but it kind of put into perspective things around our democracy in the UK and the difference in what individuals are going through in Uganda and your district as well. So we wish you all success and well health, and that life is precious and valuable while you continue your campaign, because your running mate also is a musician. So I see that music, Lalam, has a dominant feature in your political party, and we'll be keeping an eye on this. So before we conclude the interview, I just wanted to say to Rachel, would you like to leave us with some closing words?
Yes, definitely. I picked up so much from Lalam there in the breakdown, because my experience of Africa when I go is different to a lot of people's experience who live in Africa, because obviously I'm doing well in my life. So obviously if I go to Africa, I will also enjoy the fruits over there as well. And I think there's a lot of support that we can give to particularly women. As you said, Charmaine, going into the actual politics and what they go through, we don't want to go through all that. But in terms of the women, in terms of how we can support women in Africa and ourselves and women over here ourselves, and link up together to make sure that we add our voices to what's going on in this world as well and into our own individual country. So definitely with Lalam's campaign, there's always a way that people can help her move forward.
Yep. Lalam, would you like to say some closing words to the UK and all of our listeners? Over to you, Lalam, your closing words.
First of all, I would like to say thank you, Rachel, and thank you, our wonderful presenter moderator. It's been wonderful discussing this topic. There's a lot really happening in Uganda and a lot of bloodshed. It's really, really so much. There's so much police brutality. And, when you're a woman, you can't really go out to put a peaceful demonstration because you're fearing they're going to shoot you. So even if you're going through something hard in your constituency, you cannot really go out and demonstrate. It's difficult to even face the police themselves, because when you go out to the police, you feel they're so partisan. They're protecting as if they're protecting only one regime. They want to listen to only one regime. So us being in opposition in Uganda, it's something which is very difficult right now, because as a woman, like to myself, my life is at risk, because I have to move every day and night going to something. And going there, you just have to pray and live your life to the hands of the Almighty, because you don't know what you're going to face there. Sometimes even those in the regime organize bad people like the gangs to attack you on your way in the home. Being a woman, sometimes you may not have the physical energy, but you need to be protected. But still, those resources are not there. Like, you can't hire security guards because you cannot afford it. Sometimes it's even hard to hire a security guard because you feel they will protect someone else instead of you. So that is something I need the world to know, that we are going through a difficult time here in Uganda as female candidates. It's really so much on our way that we are holding on our shoulders. But still, we pray for the best and hope for the best too. So thank you everyone for been listening to us. And me, I'm contacting for Gulu District 2021-2026 as the woman member of Parliament.
And also you can give out your website, social media sites and everything else.
Lalam Irene is my official name. My state name as a musician is Biama. My Facebook page, you can follow me. My page is Liama, Liama.
Okay, so we're going to move into playing one of your tracks, and it's called Awobi. Awobi. Is that how that? I said it so like phonetically then, didn't I? So, can you tell us a little bit about this song? Can you tell us what inspired you to write this track?
Oh, this is a traditional song representing the culture, how the boys used to hook a lady. In English, it means, hey man, tell me what you're thinking.
Hey man, tell me what you're thinking. Anyway, ladies, thank you so much for joining us on the Different Angles show. We have gone over, but we want to thank you for being with us. So we're going to ask Rachel, because you're going to be switching hats. We're going to be talking about immigration just after we play this track, and then we're going to continue with the show.
Thank you. Lovely being here. Thanks.
So Lalam, Irene, we want to wish you all the best with your campaign about women in politics in Uganda and the current campaign that you are on, and we wish you safety. Have a wonderful day, and no doubt we will be talking again, because I'm just seeing something for International Women's Day. So let's do something together. And on that note, thank you very much, and we're going to continue to play your track.
Thank you.